Okay, welcome back. Continuing on from the previous one, here we have y equals negative 2/5 x plus 7, and we want to put this into standard form. So standard form has a few rules. The first rule is no fractions. We don't allow any fractions anywhere in the equation in standard form. So if it's got fractions, it is not in standard form. So how do we get rid of fractions? Well, we remember that fraction is a division, right? This is negative 2 divided by 5, and we just leave it as a division without actually calculating a decimal answer. Well, to get rid of the fractions, we're going to undo a division. So if we're dividing by 5, what's the opposite operation? It's multiplying by 5. So I'm going to multiply by 5 both sides of the equation. And when I say both sides, that means every part of both sides. So this 7 here, it has to be multiplied by 5 as well, so that everything gets multiplied by 5. Another way to write this would be to say like this and use our distributive property. Okay, 5 times this whole side of the equation, 5 times this whole side of the equation. So now 5y, 5 times negative 2/5 x, plus distribute the 5 to both terms, 5 times 7. So you can see the 5 got distributed to both parts here. And then we can multiply. 5 is the same as 5 over 1. So now we have a fraction multiplication, 5 times negative 2. You're going to need an extra line, a bit more space for this one. So let's go down here. Negative 10 over 5x plus 5 times 7 is 35. Now, I said we're going to get rid of fractions. We still have a fraction here, or so it seems, but it's not in lowest terms yet. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. So when we get that to lowest terms, we can see that it's an integer. And since we multiplied by the denominator, that's always going to happen, right? Anytime you multiply a fraction by its denominator, you're effectively canceling out the denominator. If I just canceled the 5 and the 5 here, I'd be left with negative 2, and you can see that's the final answer that I get. Okay, so first rule was no fractions, and now we have no fractions. We multiplied by the denominator, everything in the equation multiplied by the denominator, and that cleared out the fraction. The second rule is the x coefficient, and coefficient is just a fancy word for the number in front of the x. So in this equation, the x coefficient is negative 2, and the y coefficient is 5. So the x coefficient must be greater than or equal to 0. So we're not going to allow negative x coefficient. And if we look here, x coefficient is negative. There's two ways we can fix this. We can either move everything over to the other side, or we can multiply everything by negative 1. Both of these will fix, oh hi cat, both of these will fix our x coefficient issues. And it kind of depends which standard form you prefer. If you like this standard form, then you probably just want to move the negative 2x term over, because then you'll have 35 by itself. If you prefer this standard form here with equal to 0, then you probably want to multiply everything by negative 1 and bring the 5y over. It's up to you. So I'm going to show the one where we move the 2x. So we'll go 5y plus 2x equals negative 2x plus 35 plus 2x. So I've added 2x on both sides. So now I'm just going to change the ordering. 2x plus 5y equals negative 2x plus 2x, that's 0x, which is 0, 35. And so now we have this in standard form. And so now we've met the two requirements, no coefficient no fraction and x coefficient greater than or equal to 0. And I guess I've gone off the bottom there, so there it is so that you can see it. I added 2x on both sides to get rid of the negative 2x, and now I just have 35 over here and the rest there. So no fractions, x coefficient greater than 0. And the last rule is that the form has to be ax plus by equals c, or ax plus by plus c equals 0. Either of those forms is fine. Again, this one's more typical in Canada, this one's more typical in the United States, but pretty much everyone who knows about standard form would recognize that both of these are standard form. So hope that helps. If you have further questions, feel free to let me know, send me an email, or post in the comments.